Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim.
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair.
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 98 of A Double and Dice. We're 2 away from 100. It's not that far away.
I'm glad you can
And-
count, Kim.
I know, I can count. If I could tell you that in French, I would, but I do not know what 98 is in French. So,
98 sweet,
sure,
I think.
I believe you. Noah's not up there yet. I think he's counting
Well,
to
it's
50.
basic, like, okay, so like 98 in French would be like 4 20s plus 18. That's what it is. So 80 is 80, right? Which is 4 20s.
Mm-hmm.
20, 40, 60, 80. And then it's 18, which is 18. So 420s, 18, 420s and 18.
I believe you. If there's any
Episode
French people out there, then know.
98. I mean, my accent is horrible, but I know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So 98.
98.
And this episode's going to be a spooky episode. But before we get into it, we're going to actually dive into our dice bag first. Because last episode, if you haven't listened to it, you can go listen to it right now while we wait. And now you're back. So we did a movie review of Birds of Prey.
We did.
And so we did Birds of Prey as a female character series. Then we decided to watch the movie and we kind of did a review on it. So, and we got a lot of feedback.
About the episode. We did.
Yes. So we're going to dive
Yes.
into the dice bag first before we get into our other spookiness because it's almost Halloween.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So let's do it. So first off, Kim,
Yes,
you received lots of happy birthday wishes.
I did because it was my birthday when that episode released.
That's right. It was a
So
happy
thank you
birthday
for all the birthday
to-
wishes.
Lots of happy birthday wishes. So big thanks to everyone who wished happy birthday to Kim in all of the various places that we podcast or post podcasts, etc. Talk about podcasts, all of the things. So we received a email from our new listener, Darren, who also goes by White Spider 1066. And Darren shared that he loved hearing our opinion on the Birds of Prey movie and hearing what bits we picked up on as watchers of the movie compared to what other people would see. So that was really great. So we really appreciate that. So thank you, Darren. I think Darren was the only one that actually provided feedback on the actual movie review. So the rest of it sort of came into, I mean, I don't know, can we call it a review? Anyway, the movie conversation.
Yes, not really a review.
Yeah, it wasn't really we wouldn't really analyze it like a movie review, but anyway, maybe we have to do like a separate podcast like Siskel and Ebert. Okay, so that was that. Darren also took some time on Discord in our dmNorthTV Double and Dice podcast convo channel to introduce himself to the community, which we really appreciate because he's newer to the Dice Masters community. And of course, we've shared his link with his Dice Masters content and the articles that he writes on his blog. So thanks, Darren, for continuing to share with us and interact with us. We're happy to having you with us, and we're glad that you're loving the podcast. So that's really fantastic. Then we heard from some of our general folks that share information about how we could have done our research better. They do it in a very nice way, which we appreciate.
I said about Cassandra. I did throw it out there, but
You did. I think, I don't think we train wrecked it. Let's put it that way.
no.
I don't think we did. I think that my few minutes of Googling was not quite enough to get us where we needed to go. But we did hear from Comics Mike on our Double and Dice podcast convo channel on the Discord that Cassandra Cain was Batgirl for a bit. And Collector Rob, who I think was perhaps commenting as he listens. I know I do this sometimes. It's like a live listen. And if you don't wait until the end, you don't realize what it is. So he said Harvey Dent is Two-Face, because I had
Yep.
said Harvey Bullock, and then we fixed it, right? We came up
Yep.
with the correct one. So he also popped it in there. So yeah, we were correct. Harvey Dent is Two-Face. And he said I can't talk tonight.
Renee Montoya.
Renee Montoya
I like that
is
last
Harvey
one.
Bullock's police partner on the show Gotham. And we also heard that from Chris from the Ministry of Dice, who sent me a Facebook message. He said Renee Montoya is definitely a comic character. She was a Batman supporting character for a long time as Bullock's partner. And Red Mage popped in on the Discord and also said Renee was also the question. And Chris also added that in his comment. Now she's the question hero. And Red Mage gave us a really cool graphic for flamethrowers and rotating knives in the Discord. So that was the name of one of the cards we were talking about, the Danger Room card, which is a super cool card name. And I think we said it would be a good band name and, that sort of stuff. So that was a really cool graphic. So thanks to Red Mage for sharing that image with us. And I'm not going to try and describe the image on the podcast.
Just go on the Discord and take a look.
Just go onto the Discord and take a look. So that was that. And then we heard from Darren in his email that he sent to dmNorth.com, as well as from Jackalope Spam, regular listener and contributor, Nick, who sent me a direct message on Discord. They both answered our call for suggestions of what we could do in upcoming episodes, because as we had mentioned, we're sort of maybe running a little bit dry on content right now, not really sure what we were going to do next. So they gave us some suggestions, and we're going to keep those in the vault and haul them out for a rainy day. And when we use those suggestions, we will absolutely make sure to credit Nick and Darren for those suggestions when it comes up.
I'm just reading the one that Nick actually sent. He's using some of my favorites in there.
Yep. So, well, your favorites are well known, Kim.
Yes, they are well known. Trivia question for you. Can you name 3 of Kim's favorites?
Can you name 3 of Kim's favorite basic action cards?
No. Cards. They're not all 3 basic actions.
Okay, 2 of the
fine.
3 are basic
2
actions.
of them are basic actions. One is
Team
not.
Up and Orbital Strike.
No, you're not supposed to say it.
Oh.
They're supposed to know.
Pretend I didn't say that. I just gave you 2 of the 3 answers. I won't give the third one.
Jocelyn did not pick up on my, see if people can know. Okay.
Well, people can still guess the third one.
Yeah, they could try to guess.
I gave them the easy ones.
Yes, they're pretty easy.
I'm going to message you later to see if I have the third one correct, but I have an idea.
It's kind of, you're looking at it, but...
So, but anyway, we'll get there. But yeah, so if you want to guess Kim's 3 favorite cards of all time, then please send us an email to dmNorth.com. All other entries are invalid.
Did Jocelyn tell you the answer? Jocelyn didn't
tell anyone the answer.
Actually, one of the ones that Darren named, we did do a series on that one.
I do think there's an opportunity, though. Darren mentioned a team building episode. I think there's an opportunity to revisit that.
Yeah, we did that maybe either last year or a couple of years ago. I can't remember.
It's been a while, and there's been some new mechanics added to the game and some changes. So I think there's an opportunity to revisit team building as a maybe not to the same level of detail that we did last time. But I think there's definitely an opportunity to talk about team building, and that's something that's on my mind.
Cool.
So
yeah, hopefully you enjoyed our movie review. We might do it again.
Probably.
I did think of one.
Did you? And I think we'd be
you.
Open to audience. I can't even talk, Kim. How are we supposed to record this podcast?
I don't know.
Audience suggestions. So if you have a
Yes.
movie you'd
So
like to
what
hear us review.
female characters are in Dice Masters that also is a movie?
Oh, I
Don't
remember what you're
answer
talking
that.
about now.
Don't answer that, Jocelyn.
No, but I remember what you sent me now.
Yes.
I'm on
Yes.
board. Okay. All right. So on that note, should we move on to the spooky?
Spooky.
Woo!
Spooky. So, the day of this recording, or sorry, the day that this released is October 30th, which is a day before Halloween. So we decided to do a little bit of spooky team building.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's been a
we
while
did,
since we built some teams.
I know, and we specifically only built on D&D sets.
This
There
is
you go.
true.
There you go, Nick. We actually built something with D&D. D&D only, and we both picked a card out of there and kind of built our team around it.
That's right. That's exactly what we did.
Who would like to go first?
You go first, Kim.
Okay. So the card I picked was Vampire Apprentice Undead.
Ooh,
Spooky. It's
spooky.
a pretty scary picture if you ever look at the card. So she's a 4-cost mass character.
It's a cool looking kid.
Yeah, she's a monster affiliated. She's got the evil little side. I don't know what they call them now. I can't remember.
So the monster is a banner.
Yeah, which
and
is her
then
affiliation.
The evil is her alignment.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then she has another one, which is the gear, which you can back in the D&D days, they used to have a card that you can equip to your dice.
Yeah, you can get equipment.
So that's the symbol for it. Yeah.
Yeah. You can give your vampire apprentice undead like a sword or something.
Yeah. So she so she has that. She is a 1/1/4, a 1/2/4, and a 2/2/6 on her dice.
Two.
I actually don't own this card, so I think her dice is actually cool looking too. So she has energy drain. So what energy drain is? It's a keyword. When she's engaged with a character, whether she's blocking or she's attacking and someone blocks her, she at that point she pretty much spins down their level.
That's right.
So if it's a 3, she'll spin it down to a 2. If it's a 2, she'll spin it down to a 1. But then you can't spin anything off when it's a 1. Not like you can spin it out. That would be actually cool.
It would be, but that does not exist today.
No. So she has energy drain, and then she has an ability. So the first time each turn an attacking vampire damages a character, you gain 2 life. Then draw a die and place it in your prep area. So vampire, she's got to keep her life going, I guess.
I guess the sucking of the blood, perhaps.
Yeah. So she can gain back life, and you get a prepping mechanism in that as well.
It's actually a really cool mechanic. I don't think I've ever played with this card.
No, I've never either. I don't own it, so I never play with it.
It's from Battle from Faerun?
Yes. Which was that
first
D&D
set?
Yeah.
Well, it's a common, so I don't know if it's a starter card or if it's a common card.
Not. But... Yeah. So, I mean, her ability is pretty straightforward. I really was thinking how to build a team around her. I mean, she kind of does her own thing, right? So what I decided to do was I did decide to have an equipped card with her to add to her, which was a basic action. So I put on Flaming Sword. So, because she can have equipped stuff to her. So it is equipped basic action, and equipped character die gets +2A and +2D. So we'll bump her up a little bit. So her defense gets a little buffier and her A gets a little bit better. She's
her A is a bit soft.
Yeah, but her defense is 4/6, so which is not bad. And then Flaming Sword deals 1 damage to character dice blocking or blocked by the equipped character. This die counts as a gear. This cannot be ignored. So once they kind of block or she's blocking, the Flaming Sword will do 1 damage to the character. So if they put a chumpy block, she's pretty much like a sidekick. It's pretty much dead. So those are my 2 pairings for her. And what I decided to do is I decided to go a little bit, since she's a vampire and I didn't really couldn't go through any cards that would really go along with her. So what I decided to do is put her up with a bunch of creatures. So all my other 7 cards are creature cards. So I put Arnax, which is one of my favorite cards. Vault Guardian. So he has Breath Weapon 2. Again, Breath Weapon is if you pay 2 generic dice when they attack, all character dice of your opponent takes 2 damage, and then the life also takes 2 damage.
Very important to remember that when you're playing your game.
Yes. Always keep back 2 energies if you can. And you can't do it on the same die. It has to be unique when you do that Breath Weapon. But very cool card actually. So I really enjoyed that one. Another one that I actually enjoyed back in the day was a Giant Spider. So this is the uncommon Giant Spider. I went very cheap on my well, actually no, Arnax is not very cheap. He's a 5 cost.
Well,
the dragon is a 5
super
cost.
expensive.
Yes, not super expensive, but a good ability. Giant Spider is a 2 cost shield. When Giant Spider attacks, all NPC dice, aka Psychic dice, must block Giant Spider if able. If multiple Giant Spider dice attack, the defending player chooses how to block. So they're not blocking my vampire. They would have to block, all the Psychics would have to block Giant Spider if I attack with vampire. And then that leaves them with their other stuff, which will get spin down and hopefully KO'd.
Good combo.
So, well, I shouldn't say he or she because these are all creatures that I'm doing. My spider. So that's my spider. My spider also has a global on it. Pay a shield. Target character must block this turn. So I could force blocking as well if I wanted to.
Yeah, so if you wanted to deal with something on your opponent's side against that vampire, you could always use the force block global and then attack only with the vampire.
Yeah. So something to get, if I want to get rid of something out of the field or something.
Yep.
With the buff with the sword. So another one I put on was Carrion. Is it Carrion?
Carrion Crawler.
Carrion Crawler. I guess I don't know what he is.
Paragon Aberration.
Yeah, no, like what kind of bug? A bug?
Oh yeah, it's a bug.
Yeah. So he's a 4. That's a 4 cost. When assigned to attack, roll all opposing NPCs. Move those showing energy faces to the prep area. So, if I attack with Spider and him and Vampire, I guess they'll roll out their Psychics, and then if they have anything left, they have to be blocked by. They have to go blocked by the Spider. So, I did not realize I had a lot of stuff going with Psychics here.
Or NPCs.
Right. My other creature. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for those that don't know, NPC is an interchangeable term with Sidekick, and NPC stands for non-player character, which is a game term from the D&D role-playing game. So if you're playing role-playing games and you're interacting with a character that is not played by another player in the game, but perhaps it's the judge or the dungeon master that's role-playing that character, that's an NPC.
There you go.
Sorry. There you go.
That's
Back
okay.
to you, Kim.
This
D&D tip was brought to you by Dice Station. Yeah. Back to you, Kim.
2 cost bolt. I almost forgot what that was. Is Grell, a blind ambusher. That looks like a brain with like a beak. Anyways, just good old deadly on that. And deadly is at the end of your turn, kill all character dice that were engaged with this character. I also put another deadly character on the team, which is a 4 cost, a Basilisk. 4 cost. He also has, well, I should say he again. Monster has this deadly,
it could
as
be a
well
female
as
monster, Kim.
That's true.
Maybe it's a monster that doesn't identify as female or male.
Yeah, I have to say monster. I can't say he or she. I don't know.
Or they.
They. When Basilisk attacks, target opposing character die must block this turn.
You've got
So
another
again,
option to force that blocking.
yep. So again, another option. A little bit more on the expensive side, but stats are good for if I have to push through with any kind of damage. Actually, Carrion is a pretty good one if he's on the high at a 5. Growl is low, but again, deadly will KO whatever is blocking. So next we have up is one of my favorite ones to play is a Gazer. 2 cost as well. I just realized all these I guess are monster affiliated. When Gazer is KO'd, you may draw 2 dice from your opponent's bag. Place either or both in their use pile. Return the rest to their bag.
Nice.
So I can get rid of things that are coming up.
Super glad that you put that Gazer on your team, Kim, because the Gazers that came out in that set, Trouble in Waterdeep, there were 3 of them, and they were all super good, but the only one that saw any type of play was the one that had Intimidate, because we had Godcatcher tokens running rampant in the meta. But I wrote an article for Out of the Shadows on dmNorth.com about all 3 Gazers, because they were all really good, and they all had very good applications. And I think the other 2 didn't get their due. This is one of the other 2, and also it's super cute. Tiny Beholderkin. Oh, it's a tiny little tiny Gazer. Oh, it's so cute.
And it's pretty low stats, so it could get KO'd. So again, with my helping of, I can make things block, so they would have to block it if I attack, right? So that way they're forcing to have to block it. And so he gets KO'd, and I can deal with their bag, and hopefully they don't get good stuff. And last but not least, what did you give me, Jocelyn?
I didn't give you anything. I'm hours away.
Which is the fishy. The fishy in the bowl, in the small bowl. 2 cost. He doesn't really have much great stats because he's 0/0/0. But when he is KO'd by combat damage, deal 2 damage to target opponent. So
very good use of your force block.
Yep, force block. Make them block him. He's gonna get KO'd. He's got 1/1/1/2 1/1/2 defense. So you want him to get KO'd by the combat damage, no other way, and then you do 2 damage to the target opponent. And then lastly, my other basic action was, I always like this card, is Heist. So target opponent draws 2 dice from their bag, place 1 in that opponent's prep area, roll the other dice, and place it in your reserve pool. At the end of your turn, place the roll die in your opponent's use pile, regardless of where it is. So let's steal some stuff.
Cool.
And that's my team.
Awesome. So what do you think your buy order would look like?
I would probably, because I don't really have any other prepping, I would try to get Vampire first. Because she's a 4 cost, so if I go first, I'm not obviously buying my Vampire. I would try to maybe start, I don't know, whatever my 2s or anything like that. I don't have any 3 costs, so I will have an extra die probably, unless I roll the Psychic. So I would probably actually want to go second. Get the Vampire in the way, and then kind of build up with either Spider or a Deadly, a Gazer, a Slyguard. Like, I have a lot of options. So honestly, depending on what I roll.
Fair.
But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my buying order would be. But if I can get to her first, the Vampire, I would do that first.
Cool.
And then I'll obviously equip her with the Flaming Sword and then go from there.
Yeah. Flaming Sword sounds impressive.
Yeah, it should be hard to get rid of, right? So.
Flaming Sword Vampire.
Yep.
Vampire Flaming Sword. I'm just trying to decide if that's a good band name or not. I think just Flaming Sword on its own. I think leave the Vampire out of it.
With your lead sing Vampire.
There you go. Featuring Vampire.
It doesn't have a name.
Flaming Sword featuring
We need to
Vampire.
name this Vampire because it does definitely look like a she in the fit photo. We would have to. I have to name I can't come up with a good vampire.
Well, I will leave that to you because you're good at naming things. All right, so I took a slightly different approach to building this team. So what I decided to do first is I was trying to decide what card I wanted to start with, because I don't have a ton of experience playing with D&D cards, aside from Tomb of Annihilation and a little bit of Trouble in Waterdeep.
Also, the more recent ones.
The more recent ones. There's because I never had the older D&D stuff. Rob has it, and I've played with some of it. And I was like, I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go with it. So what I did was I went onto the Dice Coalition Team Builder, tb.dicecoalition.com, and I started by filtering on the monster banner, because I figured if it's got the monster banner, it's probably not a positive thing. It's probably something evil or scary or spooky. And I looked at a lot of different stuff. So it's interesting, Kim, a lot of the cards that you put on your team were cards that I was considering on mine. But I don't think we ended up with any of the exact same ones.
No, just one same one, and that's it.
But is it the same?
Nope. No, same character, but different card.
Different rarity.
Yeah.
So not the same. So what I decided to do after scrolling through and looking at all the different cards that were available and getting extraordinarily overwhelmed because there's too many flipping cards in Golden. Even when you narrow it down to just D&D, too many flipping cards. So I decided to start with Fiends. So Fiends are basically demons, and demons are spooky, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a demon at my door.
No.
So I looked at the different Fiends that were available, and I decided to build my team sort of around Orcus, Demon Lord of Undeath, because that's just pretty impressive sounding. Orcus is a 7-cost fist. So Orcus counts as a fiend. When Orcus attacks or blocks, you may take an unpurchased fiend die besides Orcus from one of your cards and roll it. If it rolls a character face, add it to your field zone, otherwise return it to your card. And that was from Faerun Under Siege. So I started there. The stats on Orcus are 1, 5, 6, 2, 6, 8, 3, 8, 8. So expensive to field, but whatever. And then Orcus has a interesting global. Pay a fist, deal 1 damage to target attacker.
Okay.
So I don't think I want to deal it to my own attackers, but maybe on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I figured, well, if we're going to roll unpurchased fiends, I need some fiends. So I went and searched for fiends, and I picked out a couple of fiends. So also from Faerun Under Siege, I chose Hellhound, a lesser fiend, 3-cost fist. Orcus can also be equipped, FYI. So I could buy your flaming sword out from under you, Kim. So Hellhound, while Hellhound is active, your fiend dice cost 1 less to purchase, minimum 1, and 1 less to field. So that's going to help with Orcus, because Orcus, instead of being a 7, becomes a 6. And the fielding costs become 1, 1, 2 instead of 1, 2, 3. So that's
would it be 0, 1, 2?
It says minimum 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I missed.
Oh, sorry.
No, at the purchase.
1 less for, yeah, so it'd be 0, 1, 2 for the fielding, which would get a little bit better. So, and then I added in Glabrazo, Apprentice Fiend. So it's not quite a fiend, it's not a lesser fiend, it's not a master fiend, it's an apprentice fiend. It's working its way up the ladder. 4-cost mask. While Glabrazo is active, your fiend dice cannot be damaged except by combat damage. So you can't damage my fiend with anything else. And I was thinking about what things could damage as far as non-combat damage in D&D. And of course, the first thing I thought of was Magic Missile, which does 2 damage to target character or player.
Yeah.
And the Magic Missile Global, which is you pay a bolt and it deals 1 damage to target character die. So none of those things would work on my fiends. And then the other thing that I thought of was attune. So attune is a keyword that came out in later sets, and it happens like if the character with attune is active and you use an action die, you deal 1 damage to target character or player. So I thought attune would be an opportunity as well, that you're preventing against by saying your fiend dice cannot be damaged except by combat damage. So we're going to force you to kill my peeps by actually attacking me. None of this non-combat stuff that I love. So, and Glabrazo is a 1/3/3 2/4/4 2/5/6. So that was kind of the fiend start of my team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I threw in some other scary stuff to go along with it. So Intellect Devourer, Deadly Puppet Master is a 4-cost bolt, and while Intellect Devourer is active, when an opponent spends a question mark, deal 1 damage to that opponent. So that's pretty cool, because a lot of times people keep question marks to make them flexible. But if you use if you spend that question mark, I'm going to be able to deal damage to you, and that's to your opponent, so directly to your life bar. But primarily there for the global, pay 0. Once during your turn, you may spin one of your active NPC character dice to an energy face, move it to your reserve pool. So that is the Intellect Devourer. Then I added on the Xanathar Paranoid Tyrant from Trouble in Waterdeep, 6-cost mask. This character has Spark. Until end of turn, you may use a global ability for free. So whenever you use a die that has a burst face on it, if you roll the burst face, at the end of the step, you're able to use the Spark ability. So at the end of the roll and reroll step, at the end of the main step, at the end of the attack step, you would be able to use that global ability for free. So you have to choose a time and pick a global to use. And this card comes with a global of its own, which is pay 1. Once per turn, you may prep an NPC from your use pile. So I just talked about a 6-cost and a 7-cost. So I was like, I'm going to need some prep, right? We're going to need some prep here. So there's a prep. Pay 1. Once per turn, you may prep an NPC from your use pile. And because it's once per turn, I can do it on my turn and your turn. So if I keep the energy back, I can start prepping stuff over. In addition to our friends here, we have the Carrion Crawler Lesser Aberration, 3-cost bolt. When fielded, knock out an opposing NPC, and it has a bolt. It has a global, pay a bolt, deal 1 damage to an NPC. So that was kind of an interesting little piece there. And of course, the Carrion Crawler has the same stats as the one Kim has on her team. Then I threw on a zombie, Paragon Undead, 2-cost shield, rare from Tomb of Annihilation. When you field an NPC, you may roll a zombie in your use pile. If you roll a character face, KO the fielded NPC character die and field the rolled zombie character die for free on the face you rolled. If you rolled an energy face, place it in your use pile. And zombie does not need to be active to use this ability. So I thought that's kind of cool. If you get a 2-cost zombie in your use pile, you field an NPC, you might be able to KO that NPC for more energy next turn and move that zombie directly into the field. Kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the last one on my cards before we get into the basic actions were Red Dragon, Lesser Dragon, 7-cost bolt. Again, still a monster because we went through all the monsters when we were building this team. Breath Weapon 2, and Kim's already explained how Breath Weapon works. Field Red Dragon for free if your opponent has 2 or more non-NPC characters in the field. That's good because the fielding costs are 1, 2, 3. And then a global has pay once per turn, pay a bolt. When you purchase your next action die this turn, it costs 2 less, minimum 1, and you deal 1 damage to your opponent. So that's a pretty effective global. So you use that bolt, and then you get to reduce something when you're purchasing an action die, which we're going to talk about in a second, and then you take a damage when that happens as well. And stats on that dragon are 5, 5, 7, 7, 8, 8. So pretty beefy. So we've got some prep with prepping an NPC from my use pile. I've got a way to deal damage to an NPC if I needed to knock one out to get more energy. I have a way to take my NPC and spin it to energy with Intellect Devourer, so I've got some good flexibility there. So, but I still felt like I needed more prep, so I threw on Resurrection, which is a basic action card from it was from several D&D sets, but this one was the Battle for Faerun one. Or no, I'm mixing up with a Superman Wonder Woman set. Anyway, Battle for Faerun. Roll a die from your use pile and place it in your reserve pool. It's a 4-cost, which seems very expensive. It has a global on it, though. Once during your turn, pay a shield to draw a die from your bag and place it in your prep area. And that's primarily why it's there. And then I put on my favorite D&D basic action card.
This is your favorite?
I think so.
Really?
I think this is my favorite. It's kind of evil.
Okay.
Even though it's affiliated neutral. Cloud Kill. Deal 1 damage to each opposing character. Character dice damaged by this effect cannot attack or block this turn unless the opponent pays 1 generic energy per character die. So you'd have to keep back a lot of energy if I've got a Cloud Kill, and it's only a 3-cost. So
was this one on the ban list, or was it some other ones on D&D that was on the ban list?
I don't remember Cloud Kill being on the ban list.
Probably not.
I'm sure that people probably ban it when they build formats because that's like annoying.
Yeah, for 3 cost?
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
But I remember like when I was building a team a couple years ago, like pre-pandemic, Rob and I were doing local games in Durham region, and we decided to build a D&D team, probably because it was around Halloween. That's the holiday we're talking about today. And I found this card because, again, I don't have a lot of D&D, but I have the basic actions because I think Rob had the starter as well as the box, the collector's box, which came with the basic actions. He gave me the extra basic actions. I'm like, wow, this looks really good. And starting to play it, I was like, this is really good. This is a really good card. So that's a lot of energy to keep back to block, right? So I was like, okay, well, I've got a way to deal damage to your NPCs. I've got ways to prep stuff and what have you. But then what I don't have is a good way to push damage through, especially from my lower cost characters because they don't have great stats. So I was like, well, if I can get a cloud kill, I can deal 1 damage to all your stuff, and then you can't block because you don't have any energy left because you've been using your energy to do other things. So that was kind of my plan with this team.
Yeah, so the 2 banned ones are Relentless and Swords of Revealing, so no.
Yeah, and Relentless, I think, was from a Marvel set, and Swords of Revealing Light was from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, okay. So nothing from...
So yeah.
Cool.
But it's pretty cool. So the idea here is I would start with Hellhound, probably, the 3 cost fist. Because he's going to... Hellhound, the dog, the hound... is going to discount my fiend dice. So my Orcus becomes a 6, and my Glabrazo becomes a 3, and then my Hellhound itself would become a 2. So I'd be able to get more fiends out into the field. And then a lot of the rest of the stuff is there for globals and bag management and all that sort of thing. But I might actually purchase a carrion crawler. There's a possibility that I might actually purchase an Intellect Devourer. It's slim. And then Xanathar, I mean, he's a 6 cost. It's a 6 cost. So it's pretty cool that when you spark, you get to use a global ability for free. And because I'm using a basic action as part of this team, like I'm going to be buying Cloud Kill to prevent my opponent from being able to block, it's possible I could get a spark to trigger and then I could use one of these globals for free. But, you know, again, not sure that I would actually invest the 6 in that. I'd rather invest the 6 in Orcus or even the 7 in Red Dragon.
Yeah, Red Dragon's good.
Red Dragon's kind of a last resort, though.
Yeah, you can get to a 6, no problem.
Yeah. But I did give you lots of global abilities, Kim, so.
Yeah. I didn't even think about Res for some reason.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I forgot Res was on it. When I was going through the basic action list, I don't remember seeing it, but maybe I just forgot it was just, that was the original.
Probably.
So.
You probably forgot. So anyway, I kind of want to try this team out.
So that means we have to play our teams against each other?
Maybe. I don't know if I have this stuff. I'm going to have to find it. I probably have... Well, I definitely have the Trouble in Waterdeep stuff.
Yeah, all of it.
And I have the Tomb of Annihilation. I have the Tomb of Annihilation card that I have on here, which is the zombie, and I have the basic actions. But the rest of it, I probably don't have. I would have to borrow or proxy. So
I think that I have everything except the vampire. But now I'm trying to think because I have a starter set. I don't know which D&D starter set it is. Because it looks like the vampire is from a starter set because it's all her cards are common.
Could be. Well, you'll have to look and see if you have it.
Yeah, I don't remember which starter set I have, though.
But maybe if we can find the time, Kim, maybe we can record this game.
Mm-hmm.
Or stream it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some cool abilities here, and I'd like to see how these teams pop off.
I think I have this set. I think I have at BFF.
Well, you do. You do have a BFF. I'm here. Best friends forever.
BFF. Besties.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, so that was pretty good. So I would love to hear what other people would build. Like, what spooky character would you build around if you were building a team for Halloween?
Yeah, what character? There's so much to choose from.
Yeah, there really is. There really is a ton of stuff to choose from. So, so yeah, so that's it. So what did you think of my team, Kim?
Yeah, pretty cool. I forgot about, like, I don't even, see, again, I don't even think about fiends. I just gravitate to what I know. So,
Well, and on that note, like I mentioned, that I used Cloud Kill at that event that Rob and I did locally here in Durham region, and Rob had built a fiend team with gate, which is a keyword.
Okay.
And it was very effective. So
Yeah.
when I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, I was like, oh, maybe I should try fiends. Fiends are demons, right? Demons are evil. They're scary. They suit the Halloween theme.
I even forgot about Xanathar too.
Well, I was kind of surprised that you had a Silgar on your team and not a Xanathar.
Yeah, but it's not the Silgar that makes him cheap or something.
Oh, the effect is on the Silgar. It's not on the Xanathar?
No, there's the Silgar. There's one about Xanathar. I think it makes him cheaper or something. Let me look.
Well, there's one that, like, if Silgar is KO'd, you can immediately get a Xanathar or something.
Yeah, you can purchase a Xanathar character die for 2 and prep it. And then there's another one, and when he's KO, you may prep a Xanathar from your used pile.
Yeah, so there's some combinations there.
Yeah, but I decided to go with the other one that actually does damage to your life.
Yeah.
And it's 2 cost. Well, the other ones are 1 cost, but yeah. No, I mean, Xanathar for the global is what I usually use Xanathar for.
Mm-hmm. To the global.
Yeah, for the global.
Just only for the global.
Cool.
So,
well, let's see. Hopefully we'll play it, and yeah, we'll get it recorded and
streamed, whatever. We'll find some time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out. So on that note of playing Dice Masters, Kim.
Yes.
I played Dice Masters this week.
You did?
I did. I had to go to Ottawa for work. Ottawa, our nation's capital. And I drove up on Monday, and Monday night they play Dice Masters at Game Breakers Sports Cards and Collectibles at it's in Nepean, which is a suburb on the west side of Ottawa. So I popped up there and went and played some Dice Masters with our friends from Ottawa. So including myself, there were 8 folks there.
Wow.
So the organizer of that event is Shaheen, or Shaw, as you may have heard him phrased before. You know Shaw, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
And Petrus was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Claude and Christine, and we had Liam, and we had Nick and Frank and myself. So yeah, so it was a good turnout, 8 players, which is pretty good. And they are currently partway through, like a couple of weeks in, to a legacy league. So what they have started is they started with all cards in the history of Dice Masters. No bans. Okay. Everything's legal. Okay? And then the winning team each week, all the cards on that team are banned. So I had reached out and I said, hey, like, what's the theme? And they said, this is the Legacy League. Here's the link. So I was taking a look at the link to figure out what cards were no longer available. I think they're about 4 weeks in. So I was like, oh, I don't have time to build like a crazy team to pull out all my golden cards or whatever. And I don't have time to go through this whole list because there was too many cards on it. I didn't have a ton of time before I packed my bag to head up there. So I said, well, I'm going to take a look at this list and I'm going to pull out I'm going to make a note of all the modern cards on the list that are banned already. And then I will build the team out of modern cards that I can take and try and do something with. So I built a team. Would you like to hear about it?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the second team I built this week, Kim. This is the first one, and then the second one was the one we just talked about. So, okay. So I built a team primarily out of Secret Wars cards. There is one Dark Phoenix card on here. And what I decided to go with was I went with, two Dark Phoenix cards. I went with the Goddess of Thunder Thor core, which is the common from Secret Wars. And she reads, Goddess of Thunder gets +5 attack while you have another active character die with Thor in the name or subtitle. She's a max 2. And I went with Thor of Higher Avalon, Thor core Investigator. He's a 4-cost bolt, and it says when fielded, roll a die from your bag, and he meets the qualifications of being an additional Thor core, as does the other Goddess of Thunder die. So if you get both of the dice, then they buff each other. So I went with that combo. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get Storm. She's gonna get up to a 7 or an 8 when that happens, and Thor is a 5, 6, or 7 on his attack side. So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Now, in order to, push this through, because the one disadvantage to Storm is it only buffs her attack. It doesn't buff her defense. She's pretty easy to KO. She's a 1/2/2 on her defense stats.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like, so I'm going to need a way to do this. So I came up with a couple of ideas. So the first one was I put on the uncommon Agent Brand Hell Rangers 3-cost fist. While Agent Brand is active, your character dice gain fast. So I remember when this card was previewed at Gen Con last year, and it was really exciting to me. I was like, oh, fast is coming back, and this is super cool. So if my die has a 7 or 8 attack, and it's fast, then it's going to KO your thing before it can KO Storm. So I thought that was pretty good. Okay.
And what does fast do, Jocelyn?
Oh, fast is that your character dice deal combat damage before your opponents when they're attacking.
There you go.
Okay. Then I was like, well, some things might need to be removed in advance. So I put on Spider-Gwen the Spectacular, and she is a 3-cost bolt, and she is the uncommon, and she says, when fielded, deal 5 damage to target character die. Spider-Gwen dice can't attack the turn they are fielded. Then she's a global. It says, pay a bolt. If target die deals combat damage to your opponent, put it in your bag instead of your use pile, which I always forgot to use. The global. And then I was like, well, maybe we should throw some more removal in here. So I put on Magic Dark Child. 4-cost mask.
Magic Dark Child. What's that?
Mm-hmm. And she reads, when fielded, deal 2 damage to all opposing character dice. So basically it's going to clear out all the low stuff, like the NPCs, the sidekicks, etc. And anything that's got a low defense. And it also has a global, pay a bolt and 1 life. Once per turn, field a sidekick from your use pile. So I was like, okay, I've got different ways to remove. I've got different ways to make my dice go faster than my opponents. But maybe the wall is just too big and I can't do anything about it. So let's put on Psylocke Telepath. Psylocke's from Dark Phoenix, 2-cost mask. When fielded, target character die gets overcrushed. So I can give either Goddess of Thunder overcrush or Thor of Higher Avalon overcrush, because they have quite beefy attack stats at that point. And overcrush is when a attacking character die deals damage to an opponent's die. If the attack is higher than the defense, the balance of the attack goes to your opponent's life. So if I'm attacking with an 8 Storm and you're blocking with a 1 sidekick, normally your sidekick would just get KO'd and my Storm would come back in the field if she's on a 2 defense. In this case, with the overcrush, the Storm would do 7 damage to the opponent because it did 1 damage to the sidekick, and then it would still live because it had a 2 defense. Right?
Right.
Okay. Then I threw on a couple of cards just to round out the team. So I put on Super Rare Thing, Idle to Millions, 6-cost Fist, and he's got Iron Will, and this actually came into play in my games. It didn't get out in time, but I was like, I should have bought it sooner. When fielded, roll 3 dice from your bag, and it has a global, pay a fist once per turn. On your turn, prep a die from your bag. So Iron Will says that a die cannot be KO'd unless it's been previously damaged that turn. So you have to damage it multiple times. So it doesn't matter if you can put 7 damage on this thing, which is his defense on his top side. If you haven't previously damaged thing will not get KO'd. That's what Iron Will does. And then I threw on Super Rare Corsair, who is back from outer space. And Super Rare Corsair says, if 4 or more of your character dice were KO'd this turn, you may prep a Corsair die from its card. So you get 4 dice KO'd, and you get to prep it. And then it says it has deadly. So that was the team. And for basic actions, I brought Shocking Grasp, because Shocking Grasp gives me a little bit of prep. Deal 1 damage to target character die. If that character is KO'd by this damage, you may prep this die. And then I did Daily Bugle, which is a basic action as well. Draw 2 dice, prep up to 2 of them, roll the remainder. So, I didn't know what I was walking into when I walked into this event. But I can tell you, you know what was still legal?
No.
Master Mold. Master Mold.
Okay.
You know what else
Everybody brought
legal?
Master Mold?
No. Super Rare Thor was still legal. Like, there was a ton of stuff that was still legal. And I actually could have put Super Rare Thor on my team to go with my Goddess of Thunder, because Thor would have met the requirements for Goddess of Thunder. But I didn't. I don't have all of my stuff put away, and Thor was still out, as was Master Mold from my Worlds team, and I wasn't quite sure where everything was because I'm still kind of unpacking and such. So I went with that was the team that I put together. So, not knowing what I was going to go up against, I can tell you that Shaw brought Super Rare 1T with Cosmic Cube.
Yeah. Gosh.
So Super Rare 1T
gross
has a tune, which we talked about earlier in this episode, and she has an ability that says her tune triggers when you buy an action.
Yeah.
And Cosmic Cube increases the damage dealt by 2. So you do 1 damage with the tune, and then another 2 with Cosmic Cube. And then if you have another die active with a tune, then it stacks, and it gets really gross really fast. Petrus brought a Super Rare Thor team.
Mm-hmm.
And the first team that I went up against was Nick's team, and Nick was running Gold Dragon from Tomb of Annihilation, which is a really good dragon, with Ring of Winter. And Ring of Winter allows you to discount dragons and things like that. So I almost had Nick. If my thing had come out a turn earlier, like it didn't roll, I might have had him, because he wouldn't have been able to breath weapon thing out, and thing would have survived the attack and everything else. It was very close. We both had some really bad rolls in the game, and things were a little bit rough, but it was a very, very close game. It was a really good game, so it was great to play Nick. I then got to play Liam, who's a new player, and we had a good game. Liam and I, we had a good time. Then I got paired up against Shaw and played against the 1T Cosmic Cube. With that said, I did okay. I mean, I lost, but I did okay. And I also got to play Christine, and Christine was playing a retaliation team with Black Manta and all the villains, that when a villain is KO'd, you deal 1 damage to your opponent for all your villains that are active or something like that. And she just built a team of retaliatory villains, and she had Hush from the Batman set, I think it was. Okay, that when he's active, or when you field him, if there's a villain active.
Batman.
A Batman active? Batman
affiliated character active, yeah.
That's the one. Then it's immediately KO'd, so then all the retaliation would go off. So that was kind of cool, and she ended up taking that one, but I did get her down really early. I got a good swing in with Thor and Storm, and I had her down on 4 life, and then she had that Harley, the Harley that when at the beginning of your turn she gains a life and you lose a life, and I had her on 4 for like the longest time, because we were going up and down, and then at the end she was just able to get it there. So I lost to Nick, and I lost to Christine, and I lost to Shaw, but I did win against Liam. So, anyway, it was a fun time. I would not have expected to have
those teams.
I would not have expected to have a ton of fun against those teams, but because it's a good group of people, and it's a really fun time. We had a good time playing regardless of the ways the teams were set up. I didn't get to play everyone, obviously. I didn't get to play Frank. I didn't get to play Claude. They did end up doing 5 rounds, I think. I dropped after 4 because it was getting a little bit late for me, and I was there for work, and I had other things I needed to get done before the following morning. So I headed out after 4 rounds. But it's a good time, and if you're ever in the Ottawa area and you have access to a car, I don't think it's very easy to get to Nepean by bus, although Ottawa does have a very robust system for transit. I would head over to Game Breakers Sports Cards and play Dice Masters with the crew up there. So
Cool.
there is the second group, of course, of Dice Masters players in our capital region. They're just across the river in Gatineau, which is in Quebec, and that is where Laurier and his group plays. They play on Thursdays at Multizone. I was not able to do that this week because I was only there for the one night, but that's another good group of folks that you can go play some Dice Masters with if you're interested.
And they have a big crowd there, right?
Yeah, it's a good crowd. It's I'm gonna say on average it's probably 4 to 6 people every week, twice a week.
Okay.
And it's not all the same people. So there's people that play at Multizone that don't come over to Game Breakers, and there's people that go to Game Breakers that don't go over to Multizone on the regular. So there's a decent sized scene up there.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was my adventures in Dice Masters. I built 2 teams this week, and I actually got to play, so that was pretty cool.
Look at you.
I know, right? So, and I have more Dice Masters planned in my future potentially because before this podcast comes out, but after it's been recorded, I am traveling to Calgary for work, and that is the land of Jordo.
The land of Jordo.
The land of Jordo. So I am hoping
Jordo has land named Jordo.
I'm hoping to meet up with Jordo and his friends in Jordo Land to potentially play some Dice Masters while I'm in Calgary. So on our next episode, I will let you know if that worked or not.
Okay.
Or follow my Instagram, _JoceStitch, and you'll find out in advance. So Dice Masters is on the agenda, peeps.
It is on the agenda.
It is on the agenda. So, what else is on the agenda, Kim, for events?
Upcoming events?
Yeah.
So Weekly Dice Arena, I've changed it. We're going to be doing, starting in November, it will be every other week.
Okay.
Just because there's been some low participation, and once it maybe gets back up and going, hopefully new products and stuff, it might come back every week. But for now, I'm changing it to every other week.
Mm-hmm. Starting in November.
Sorry?
Starting in November.
Once a month, it has nothing to do with Dice Masters, but we'll be playing a board game on one of the Tuesdays as well. So we'll fill a gap with a board game. And then I get a Tuesday off. So
nice.
So we're changing a little bit for Weekly Dice Arena. So themes will still be up there, but we'll see if we get back our participation back up. And Mr. Andy May emailed us on a upcoming event in his area. It was in Minnesota.
That's right.
Wait, isn't he? I thought he was from somewhere else.
Nope, he's from Minnesota.
Okay, I was thinking Minneapolis for some reason.
Well, Minneapolis is in Minnesota.
Yeah, that could be it. So he has an upcoming event happening at Games by what is Games by James?
It's the name of the store.
It's the name of the store. Okay, so Games by James is the name of the store at Ridgedale Center in. I cannot read that on the email.
Minnetonka.
Is that say Minnetonka? Okay, Minnesota.
Minnetonka, Minnesota. I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce it. And you'll have to let us know. Is it Minnetonka? Is it Minnetank? Like it looks like Minnetonka.
Yeah. Minnetonka? No.
But maybe we're not saying it right because we have a Canadian accent.
Yeah, sorry. So it's happening on a Saturday event, November 4th.
So this coming Saturday.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So by the time this podcast arrives, yes,
This
it'll be
coming
the
Saturday.
upcoming Saturday. Okay, so it looks like they're drafting Dice Masters. Um, Hand-picked draft packs from sets like Warhammer, Avengers versus X-Men, Batman, Turtles maybe,
And more.
and more. So players will choose a set to draft, and we're planning about 7 drafts on that day. So I believe if you go on Facebook or you can actually message Andy. What's his handle on Discord?
He's at Andy.
Is it just Andy? Okay.
Or is he Andy612?
Oh.
I'm gonna check right now.
Okay. So yeah, you can message him if you for more details or if you have any questions regarding that on Discord, which Jocelyn will get what his handle is. Or it can be found on Facebook. I assume if you probably go to Games by James site, Facebook website, you can find all the details.
Andy612.
612, Andy 612. Okay. Entry fees is what did he say here? It's
$15
$1
per
to
draft.
yep, or $100 to play all day, and is going to be donated to Extra Life and Support of the Children's Hospital in Minnesota.
Yep,
So
in St. Paul, Minnesota.
yep, so it's for a good cause. So go out and play if you're in the area or close by, and have some fun.
And they're
There will
working
be
on,
prizes. Yep,
yeah,
so they'll be working
working
on
on
it.
some prizes. So
Yeah.
prizes will be available. So yeah, if you can make your way over to Minnetonka, Minnesota, to support the Children's Hospital and Extra Life for Extra Life is like a cancer charity for gaming, I think. So yeah, I would encourage you to do that. And that $100 for the day for 7 drafts, if you stick it out for the whole thing, that's definitely good value.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't make it, I'm sure you could reach out to Andy and provide a donation if that's something that you were interested in. I'm sure he could coordinate a donation on your behalf to either Extra Life or the Children's Hospital. So I think that you could do that. So you can find Andy on Facebook. He's Andy May, or like we said on Discord, he's Andy612.
Yep. Cool. And I think that's it.
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote.
All right, then.
That's all we both wrote. I don't know.
It's all we both wrote, and all that you wrote, our listeners, because of all of your fantastic feedback. And I'm just going to tell our listeners, Kim, that we're recording this episode like super early because I am traveling for like a whole week for work and then some personal travel at the tail end of that. So in order to make sure we had this episode ready for our regularly scheduled release on October 30th, we only recorded this. We're recording this episode like 3 days after the last podcast dropped. So to get all of that amazing feedback from all of you that we were able to share today from the last episode, we really appreciate that. We appreciate that you take time out of your busy schedules to listen to our podcast on the day that it comes out. So thank you for that. And we also appreciate all of you that listen to it later. But definitely it helped a lot for us today that we had all of that feedback to share with you when we're recording so soon, because normally we record about 2 weeks apart. And this time it was much closer. So appreciate all the feedback we got, and we love to hear feedback from you. And again, as always, if you want to send us something and you don't want us to read it on the podcast, just let us know, and we won't. So we're still looking for suggestions of topics that you'd like to hear us talk about on the podcast. We'd like to hear what movies you might suggest that we review in future. We want to hear about your spooky themed Halloween teams. What would you have built for Halloween, or what did you build for Halloween if your venue had a Halloween themed event? And what you thought of our teams, which of course we're going to include in the show notes. And if you have a event you'd like us to share with our listeners, please feel free to let us know that as well, just like Andy did, and we will share that out with you as well. So how do you do this? How do you get it to us with all these places? The first thing is you can send us an email at dmNorth.com, which is the only way you can enter Kim's 3 favorite card contest. No other entries will be accepted. Now, if you want to reach out to us for other reasons, you can find us on Discord. Kim is at SuperK, and I am at JoceStitch, JoceStitch. You can find us on our dmNorthTV Discord, where we have a Double Double and Dice podcast convo channel, where you can have live conversations with other listeners of the show, as well as ourselves to engage in that conversation after the episode comes out. You can find us on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, or X, or whatever it's called, Threads, TikTok, at dmNorthTV. You can find us on our website, which is dm-north.com, and you can find us on Twitch doing live games, twitch.tv/dmNorthTV, and also on YouTube, youtube.com/dmNorthTV. So until next time, on a double double and spooky dice.